For anyone that's been around on my YouTube or in the streams would know that I love woods as a map. And to make matters even better for this amazing map, it actually got a bunch of stashes added to it in 12.11. Recently, it went from 27 stashes now to 31, so today we're going to be showing you guys my stash route and also how I make so much money on my scav runs and PMC runs on these amazing hidden stashes. So we're going to be starting here at Dead Man's Place, and if you're not sure where Dead Man's Place is, it's one of the scav extracts. We're going to be heading towards this deer stand, and in a bush nearby is our first stash. Now heading away from here, we're going to be heading past a place I call Scope Shack. If we continue to head towards Mark Circle, we're going to see a fallen tree. We're going to push through it into a bush, and on the other side is another stash. Now that we're done here, we're going to head past the Mark Circle and past Outpost. Now this one is on the other side of the road here, towards another collapsed tree. As soon as we're finished searching this one under the tree, we're going to have to do a decent bit of a run here. We're going to head towards the outskirts of the map. Now be careful when you're crossing this road here towards this stash, as you can actually blow up if you go too far left or right. Sticking towards the mound and heading towards the third bush from the back, there is a hidden stash behind said bush. Now we're actually going to be heading up the road following the power line to USEC's stash. And once we're here at the next power pole, it's going to be on the right hand side towards the back is another hidden stash. So after we finish searching the stash at the power pole, we are actually going to bring up our compass and we're going to head towards 90 degrees towards the east here. Once we're finished running past a lot of these different rocks, we're going to head towards an area I call Maze. As soon as we position ourselves closest towards this large rock, we're going to do about a 180 degree turn and we're going to look towards the lumber mill and see a bunch of segregated rocks. As soon as we jump over the top of these, we're going to head down towards the defilade, and near a small pine tree is going to be the stash. Once we're done here, we're going to actually take a bit of a decent run, and we're going to run through USEC camp. Now heading down towards the water, we're going to be looking at a large rock overlooking it. If we run inwards from this rock towards another large rock, on the right hand side of it is another stash hidden behind a small bush. Now, after we finish this stash, we're actually going to head towards Scav Bunker. Now, heading past this, we're going to be heading towards the Scav Bridge extract, as you can see down the very end of the road. Once we're here near the intersection, we're going to take a quick left towards a big group of bushes near that rock is a hidden stash. Alright, so we're going to be heading past what I call Scav Village here, and we're going to be heading down towards this large lake. And as we head down, we're actually going to be looking for a dead scav in a boat, and in between these trees that are grouped together is a stash in between them. After we're finished here, we're actually going to start to head up to a lake to the right of it. Now this lake here is actually got two trees which are positioned between a bunch of rocks. Now if we line ourselves up with the tree on the right hand side and then do a direct 180, we'll start to walk inland and we're going to notice a bunch of bushes here. To the left of it is a stash. This one is very easy to miss and takes a few times to get used to it. Now we're actually going to be heading towards a little group of camps near the sunken village. If you're not sure, there's a massive ass mountain in the distance. Head towards that. There is a bunch of camps nearby, and positioned between a bunch of rocks here in a little bit of a gap is another hidden stash. After we're done with this one, we're actually going to be heading towards that camp and towards the sunken village, so you can use this mountain in the distance and the sunken church as a reference point. Now heading inside this collapsed cabin here, we're going to head behind the bush is another hidden stash. Heading away from here, we're going to be heading towards one of the new ones in 12.11. We're actually going to be running to the right of this cabin here. Now this one can be really tricky to find. After you run past this group of rocks, you're going to look for this little goat track, and on the left-hand side of it in a bush is another hidden stash. Follow this little goat track towards a power pole, and as soon as we see these power lines, we're going to head towards the right. And actually, similar to that one on the outskirts, on the inside this time is another hidden stash of this power pole. After we're done here, we're actually just going to pop across the road, and you can see this intersection here with Sniper Scav Rock on my left. We're going to actually head inside this intersection once again, but this time looking for a very large tree in the middle. It's the thickest out of all of them, and next to this huge tree is another hidden stash. After we're done here, we're going to line ourselves up with the point of this intersection, and we're going to start running towards this single blue fence with the trash bags and also a dumpster in front of it. Lining ourselves up with the fence, we're actually going to run inwards till we see a large bush. After we pass this one, there's another one behind it, and next to the second one is another hidden stash. So after we've hit the stash near the blue fence, we're going to start heading up towards the sniper scav overlook. And we're actually going to go up about 2 levels. Continuing to run up the goat track itself, we're going to follow it towards the left here, towards a bunch of separated trees. And behind one of these trees is going to be our next stash. After we've finished searching this one, we're actually going to continue to head up. If you're not sure where we are, as we start to run up, you'll notice this deer stand along the way. I don't know if you've been up here before, but this is the area that overlooks Sniper Scav Rock. As we continue to run down towards here, we're going to notice a tucked away little stash here. After we finish searching this one, we're going to continue to run up, and then we're going to follow the goat track towards the right-hand side of the deer stand. We're actually going to go away from the deer stand, and we're going to be heading to about 30 here towards the northeast. Following this goat track down, we're actually going to continue to follow it down until we see a U-shaped circular rock. We're going to look for a stash here located near a tree. Now, after we found this stash, we're going to be heading towards one of the newest ones that got added in 12.11. And we're actually going to continue to run down, find a rock face. There's going to be a triangular shape that actually points towards our next stash. We're going to line ourselves up with it, do a 180-degree turn, and run towards this medium-sized pine tree. There are no bushes nearby, but just behind the pine tree is a sneaky hidden stash. After we finish with the stash, we are actually going to run back towards that huge-ass mountain in the distance. This time cutting a little bit more left and following back up until we see a power pole. We're going to actually run under the power lines itself and continue to run towards the big mountain. As we run towards this mountain, we're going to notice another stash tucked away on one of the gaps between the road leading towards Sunken Village. Now, after we're done here, we're actually going to head towards Scav Bridge Extract. Now, this one can be easy to overlook, but we're going to head towards the bridge itself, and there's an inland cut bit here with a bit of sand. And what we're going to do is line ourselves up with the power pole on the opposite side. Once we're here, we're going to do a 180, and we're going to look slightly towards our left. As soon as we start to walk up, there's going to be a flat bunch of bushes here, and on the right-hand side of those bushes is another hidden stash. Alright, so once we're done here, we've got a bit of running to do. We're going to run through the middle of the village, and we're going to head towards a place I call UN Storage. Then we're going to find a bit of a weird concrete area, like an incomplete building. And in one of these cylindrical concrete formations is actually going to be a hidden stash next to this bent barrel. After we're done with the one near the bent barrel, we're going to head towards this BDR. And near this BDR is going to be a weapons crate that you can choose to loot if you want. But we're going to be heading towards a bunch of collapsed trees. Now, these collapsed trees on the ground actually line us up to the next one. Not the one on the left or the middle, but the one that leads out towards the right. All you got to do is run with the direction of that one towards a very small pine tree. And at the base of it is another hidden stash. After you're done with this one, we're going to be heading towards the northern UN extract. And if we head towards the extract itself, on the left-hand side, near a bunch of trash bags, is another hidden stash. Alright, running away from this towards the eastern rocks, we're actually going to be heading up towards a singular rock here on its own, is the stash itself. After we're done here, we're actually going to head towards the Sniper Scav rock, and you can see it on my right-hand side, that incredibly tall rock. We're going to keep that on our right-hand side, and we're going to continue to run towards the crash plane. We're going to be following the path of this crashed plane. You can see it in front of me here as we move our way down the trench that it's created. Now, following this, we're actually going to look towards our left, and we're going to see a really bent tree. And this has a bunch of roots nearby and a hidden stash next to those roots. We're going to actually be running towards one of the concrete buildings, or the red brick factory building. Now, as we head towards this area, you may recognize this area because it's usually full of scavs. And that's fine though, but we're going to be heading towards this large rock formation that sort of bends in a U-shape. And in the inside of the U-shape itself, you can actually see this little cheeky hidden stash. Now, after we're done here, we're going to be heading towards the huge crater. And as we head down and towards this huge defilade, there's actually going to be a rock face and then a rock really close to that with a small gap in between them. Behind the rock tucked away is another stash. After we're done here, we can head past the crashed T90 tank, and we're going to head up the hill towards a bunch of bushes here on our right-hand side. Now, these are going to be near the rock face itself, and what you need to do is you need to go around the front of it facing Emracom camp and look for the stash. After we're done here, we're actually going to be heading towards Factory Gate. If you're not sure where we are, you can see Emracom Camp on my right-hand side as we continue to run towards Factory Gate. After we finish running towards it, we're going to see a red gate with a bunch of steam silos or coal-powered reactors or whatever they are in the distance. And we're going to head towards the right of that metal gate towards a small transformer here surrounded by a gate. Next to this thing is actually going to be a bush, and in that bush is the last stash on Woods. That's it for this stash run. There are 31 stashes on Woods. I do a lot of my scav runs here, and that's how I actually make so much damn money. If you guys want to know how I make this money in between the stashes, I actually have a separate video, which I'll link up in the corner, and that's going to have all of the loot for Woods. It's nice and quick, and honestly, Woods is probably the most underrated map for loot. I hope you guys are having a great time. Thank you for watching till the end of the video, and as always, guys, if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.